The area is 2.5 square and the population.
Hello. Are we ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Mr. Peter, I think you can start. Oh, we're waiting for other people to first come in.
Hey, I think is this not a stream from the conference? This isn't a virtual presentation. The speakers are in the conference. Benedicta, can I check? Is this going to be the stream from the conference, from the auditorium?
First check and see. I've checked on the program. Room 1, yeah, it is auditorium. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Well, the session I see room 1, auditorium, Humanitarian Open Mapping Sessions.
Yeah.
Slum community data, whereby I expected Geoffrey to be here and Sam.
Yeah. I think they're running a little bit late. But yeah, hopefully we connect in soon.
Let me try to look for him here on WhatsApp and see. Meanwhile, let me first stop the recording as we wait for the feedback. Yeah, so I mean to let the recording go on as they finalize.
Hello, whoever is playing the video, can you please reshare the video and enable the sound option when you are sharing the video? We still cannot hear the sound. When you are sharing the video, there will be a small button on the bottom left of the share option. It allows you to take that option to enable you to share the sound on your machine. So if you can stop the sharing and then reshare again and share with sound.
I can't hear.
Provide the community digital tools that are able to tell their stories from their own perspective. And Kibera being a slum, there were a lot of negative stories that were being told about the area. But using these maps will help the community represent their area, show that as much as you're hearing this about Kibera, there are these positive things that happen in this community.
Please
so
unmute
the
yourself.
map will provide them
Unmute,
opportunity
unmute,
to
unmute.
represent their communities very well and their issues that concern them accurately on the maps. So yeah, so the map was just helping with that aspect of represent and making the place more visible. Apart from that, I'll say there's we've also seen improve of service provision through the maps that we've generated, sharing it with the community and the government offices, both the national government and the local government within the area, NGOs and other organizations that work within, has helped to understand the needs of the community and has also helped in terms of allocating of resources equitably, because we have 13 villages. So in terms of ensuring that every village is represented well and they're able to get equitable resources within this area. So for instance, a project like Open Schools really helped in making schools in Kibera and even other parts of the informal settlements to be located more effectively, both by the government and other organizations, leading to improve in service delivery. But we've also seen growth in community engagement and a lot of participation. one of the things that we do is try to work with young people. So seeing more young people involved in the project, and also having community forums where we engage it. We've seen an increase in terms of how the community is being involved in terms of issues to do with development.
Very cool. And I really encourage people to go and check out Map Kibera online. There's tons that Zach hasn't said that is true of the project, but that's a really nice few kind of key examples. Okay, so last question. Moving from the past to the future. We have a discussion panel following this. And on that panel, we have the president of Slum Community Association in Nkolbikok, Cameroon. We have a representative from Bamenda City Council in Cameroon. We have a representative of a university and a youth mappers chapter in Namibia who's working with shack dwellers on a project. And we have someone from HOT whose job is to provide innovative tech to support communities and partners in our North and West Africa Open Mapping Hub. So what key pieces of advice would you give them in order to frame the conversations that's coming around successful slum mapping projects and the future of slum mapping?
I will say one of the key things is putting the community at the center of the initiative. Putting the community at the center, it means that we involve the community from the beginning of the project. So having things like community forums where we invite them to share about the project and what are the goals of the project and what we hope to attain from this project. And then at the center is involving also the community in terms of now implementation of the project. So if there's anything to do with data collection, we can have young people from this area involved in the data collection. One, it helps in the community buy-in. The community really feel like, indeed, if we have one of our young people participating in this process, then we can trust this initiative. Because again, we have problems where one thing that we've also been observing over the years is that feeling of the community where this is a project by a different organization from another area. So we'll just take it, whatever they say, we'll just sit down and listen, then have them do it, but we will not be fully involved in it. And that has really led to a lot of initiatives and projects, even within Kibera, that have really failed big time. I can say that. Involving them at the beginning, at the center, in the implementation of the project, but also at the end of the project. I would say post-project engagement, where you bring in the same community again, bring them back, and just share now the information. Say, at the beginning, this is what we intended to achieve, or we wanted to cover from this project. These are the outcomes of this project. Do you have any feedback? Do you have anything that you need to add? And I think this really helps, even in terms of validating the data, but also trying to fill in the data gaps that may have occurred in the process, either collecting the data or implementing the project. So bringing the community at the end really helps in terms of even sustainability, because once they are involved, even at the end, they feel like, yeah, indeed, we've been part of this project. We are involved, we have been there from the beginning. We've seen it being implemented, and here we are. At the end, because of the community engagement, the sustainability bit of it was that even the community saw the need of it, and they were like, now we want to, this project should not end after the 3 weeks. We want to be part of this. We want to keep updating this information. We want to collect more information about this place, about this area, and cover more topics. So I'll say it really helps in terms of buy-in and also getting the trust of the community. Yeah.
Zach, thank you very much. Happy birthday to Map Kabira.
Thank
We
you.
hopefully see you at State of the Map in
Yeah.
Kenya next year.
Yeah, next year in
Okay.
Nairobi. Karibuni sana. Welcome to Nairobi.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, you have unmuted, eh? Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it there and we'll see if they can hear us as them.
The one holding Geoffrey's phone, can you please unmute yourself so that we can hear the audio from the room?
Please. Lessons learned from the mapping in Cameroon. And that is why when you talk of our zone, you also have in Bamenda the SSC, that is the CCR Supervisory Commission. And definitely, how was that commission formed? That commission was formed from blocks.
Yeah, someone is logging into this.
CCR is a slum, like definitely the definition of slum from UN Habitat, that it must lack maybe basic amenities, maybe the absence of water, maybe utilities and so on. And that is how that is in the selection, because this is what we got. In the selection, Bamenda presented 3 communities, and CCR was actually chosen as considered to have all the characteristics that make it a slum, and that is why it was included in the program. And what did the program actually provide? It provided in such a way that they had to share it into blocks. And then there were about 24 blocks. Those 20, from each of that block, we now had to make representative. That 24 block would be a block of, say, 5 households. You know, in a slum, definitely each household, you may have about 7, 8 persons living in one household. And characteristically, just like he said, all those persons settled there on their own, and they came from all directions. Indeed, it is a cultural mix that you have all sorts. That is people from Cameroon, people from the West, people from living in the same society. When you come and you see land, certainly it is not prime land. You call your relatives and they come, and they kept on settling in that informal way. But now when this program came in, we now had to go out for mapping. And that mapping had to do so that each block was given a code. And of course, representatives of each block were taken into the general forum. And from that general assembly, a CCR Supervisory Commission too has been formed. And it has a president like he is here. And the crisis, I must say this, the crisis has also made the president to, because you know that the crisis in Northwest and Southwest is actually not resident again in that community. So we're thinking of replacing the president. That is one of the issues that we should say. And now, with that map done, it was now easy to do what we call community involvement in the projects. And definitely, that's a population of the CCI, of a population of over about 16,000 inhabitants. And definitely, part of the issue was to build resilience in these communities. Why? Because it settled deep into the ecological fragile zone of that particular area. And of course, definitely, the city, as we as urban managers now saw that keeping away from facing the realities is not a solution. Because in planning is something that just allow the situation to find themselves and move forward. But now when we came in, we now have to do what we call creating a zone that is, in other words, limiting to do what we call digital limitation of persons who will benefit from the slum operating program and those who have to leave. Now, administratively, you must ask yourself, if you are saying that these persons have to leave, what do you do with them? And that is why the government of Cameroon again came in and chose a resettlement area which has been declared for public utility according to the rules, according to the laws. And now once that area is declared, it is considered now as community land. It's going to be managed by the city council, whereby we have taken up issues to study and see exactly, just like what he said, the average income earners, they do business, petty trading, and so on. Just a few of them are definitely in the formal sector. And we were able now to find out their average income, such that when we are moving, those who want to remove from the risky areas, will definitely be settling them in the planned land. But now I said, not giving them for free, because definitely under the declaration for public utility, what government does is it puts some resources. If your house was say 5 by 5 meters, at least they'll give you some small compensation before they ask you to leave. And when you are leaving, we expect that you're now going to take that money and move to the next place that we're going to settle you. And of course, pay for that land over 10 years from the small income, because definitely from the small income that you're earning. That land too has been mapped, it has been planned, and the plan has been actually, was presented and approved. So definitely government again is already seeing exactly how to open up the roads into that area, so that by the time they are settling, we know that they are settling in moving from a slum area to a better area. But now those who have to remain there, this is what, because definitely some of the projects had to do with water. If you see that the areas of the catchments have also been declared as public utility land, and the project has enabled them to, and that is to carve out those areas so that nobody infiltrates into them. And of course, there's community participation, like the Kibera said. Indeed, if you see the water sources they used before the slum program started, and with the community participation, they've been able to build now at least portable water dams that is supplying water into that particular community.
Sorry, you have been touching on quite a lot of things there. Especially, I was thinking also about the things where mapping might be able to help with the water provision, the land tenure, etc. So I want to ask Royal about her experience, because you have had quite some experience in Namibia, especially around these topics. And would you be able to share us with how mapping can help to overcome certain issues that people living in informal settlements have?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll be able to add more based on the Namibian experience. And thank you for having me on this panel. I'm quite excited and very happy to hear about the examples of progress happening in Cameroon. When I was chatting to Mr. Jacob earlier, I said that we are doing the same things. We are having a similar process. Namibia is also part of participatory Slum upgrading project of UN Habitat. So we do share similarities. To answer your question directly, we have seen quite a lot of progress in terms of communities seeing improvements in their lives. The first one being access to water, like Mr. Jacob's community. And we've also seen communities addressing issues around eviction, because the majority of communities that we work with are living under high levels of tenure insecurity. They don't know if they have permission to stay in that area for the next 10 to 20 years. So the moment we start mapping activities, it first creates visibility. Just a simple thing of saying, we are here and we are not going to leave, and this is our place of residence. That's what mapping does. And the second thing is that it starts engaging important stakeholders, the one being government. When we do map communities, government becomes interested in addressing communities' problems. And the third one, which is I also think very important, and the president can also relate, it brings the community's resources to the foreground, informing not only government, but other stakeholders that communities do have resources to address their own needs. So when we do mapping, we engage youth in the communities, we engage the elders as well, and they bring that knowledge that they have into the projects that we're running. So from our experience, we have had a community where we worked with 1,000 households that were under fear of eviction. the local government said they need to resettle this entire community because they're sitting on prime land. This is land that was supposed to be for housing development, and the community was seen as not being the one to benefit from that project. So when we introduced the participatory mapping exercise, we were able to start an engagement with the local government for the community to remain where they are. So they mapped the settlement, just like the Cameroonians did. They designed a new layout, and then they settled according to that new layout. And this all required community bringing their own resources together. And the role that government played was just to make sure that there is an enabling environment for communities to do this work and improve their own living conditions. So basically that's it. I could speak for hours about it.
Please, I want to ask also Mr. Simon again. What do you think if you hear the example that Royal is sharing? How does this work for you in your neighborhood?
Oui, et c'est très important. Vous voyez que nous sommes tous en Afrique, nous avons sensiblement les mêmes problèmes, d'une part et d'autre. La vérité est que ce que ma sœur a dit et ce que Jacob a dit sont les mêmes à Yaoundé 6. Je précise que nous sommes au centre de la ville de Yaoundé. L'arrondissement de Yaoundé 6 est au centre. Et donc, pour poursuivre, nous avons et notre population est organisée, n'est-ce pas, de telle sorte que chaque quartier, c'est-à-dire chaque chefferie, a 10 délégués. Et les 10 délégués, multipliés par 5, puisqu'il y a 5 quartiers, ça fait 50 délégués. Chaque 10 délégués représente son quartier et nous résolvons les problèmes ensemble. Je prends un exemple très, très simple. Il y a un cours d'eau qui s'appelle Idouabala, qui passe sur près d'1 km 600. Le curé, tous les jours, il faudrait que ce soit les jeunes du quartier qui s'y mettent. Nous les avons organisés, c'est comme ça qu'on travaille. Et donc, les décisions sont consensuelles. Et l'enlèvement des ordures ménagères, tout ce système bidonville, de placer, gérer l'hygiène et la salubrité dans la zone de Nkolbikok. Nous faisons appel à la main-d'œuvre locale des jeunes qui sont organisés en CAD, c'est-à-dire CAD, chez nous, c'est les communautés d'animation et de développement. Donc, toute la population est impliquée. Maintenant, l'enlèvement des ordures ménagères est proportionnel à une modique somme, n'est-ce pas, de 1000 francs par ménage. C'est un peu ça. Donc, on peut continuer.
Donc, I tried to translate the key. I tried to translate the key points again. So, they are in the Yaoundé 6, which is in the city center, really. And they have a chefferie, like neighborhoods. Can I call it neighborhoods, a chefferie? 50 of them, and they all have a delegate. And that's the way how they come together and they make consensual decisions together about things that are important for them. Let me just check my paper. I want to ask you as well, if you think about mapping, as I understand, you don't have that much experience with mapping.
Oui.
What are your experiences with mapping, and how do you see what are your opinion the ways that mapping can help your community?
Très bien. Nous avons une carte de Nkolbikok. C'est tout seulement que dans l'ayant pas si long de temps, je devrais venir, n'est-ce pas, avec cette carte-là. Nous avons une carte de topographie et tout de la zone Nkolbikok. Comment ça nous aide? C'est grâce à l'identification. C'est la carte qui nous permet d'identifier les problèmes sociaux et économiques de toute la zone Nkolbikok. Donc, cette carte-là nous permet, c'est-à-dire la carte sociologique, économique et sociale de Nkolbikok, nous le possédons. Nous sommes en mesure aujourd'hui de savoir que dans Nkolbikok, voici la zone sinistrée, voici la zone où les gens, le niveau de vie des populations. Nous avons identifié les populations de la zone Nkolbikok. Je vous ai dit qu'en 2010, nous étions 25 000. La cartographie de la zone Nkolbikok aujourd'hui est connue. Nous savons où se trouvent les problèmes. Nous savons où il faut mettre le doigt pour résoudre les problèmes. La seule difficulté, c'est que l'État et la mairie de Yaoundé 6, avec qui nous travaillons, n'est-ce pas, je ne sais pas s'il faut y tarder, nous travaillons en synergie. La mairie, la communauté urbaine et le MINDU, le ministère de développement urbain, et l'ONU Habitat que nous avons mis en place. Donc, cette carte-là est connue. Nous connaissons les problèmes de la zone Nkolbikok. Nous connaissons les problèmes des populations, c'est-à-dire sur le plan géographique, puisque c'est un bassin versant. La carte de Nkolbikok montre que c'est un bassin versant. Il y a une zone de 26% du territoire sur les 30 hectares qui est constituée de marécages et une partie des terres fermes. Donc, nous connaissons tout ce problème d'occupation des sols. Les gros problèmes là-bas, c'est par exemple le problème foncier, comme ma chère a dit. Ce problème-là est partout. Parce qu'au Cameroun, il y a plusieurs types de problèmes fonciers, c'est-à-dire que ça appartient à l'État et ça appartient aux familles. Et donc, parallèlement, en face de nous, il y a des gens qui ont créé l'occupant d'intérêts fonciers urbains. Malheureusement, ça n'a pas abouti. Et donc, le problème est réel. Nous connaissons la carte du Nkolbikok. Ça existe. Merci.
Merci. So they do have a map of the Nkolbikok, and they use it to identify socio-economic problems and to understand the problem of the population do have. They work together in synergy with the people with the town hall, and in collaboration with UN Habitat as well around these population issues. It's also important to understand how the occupation du sol, how the land use is used by the government if it's family-owned ourselves. So they have a couple of good use cases in their head. I see, Emmanuel, you have the microphone. That's really great. Because it comes in here now, how can you help with technologies to make mapping happen that can support populations? Go for it.
Okay. Déjà, pour pouvoir en fait utiliser en fait la technologie dans tout ça, la base en fait c'est avoir une imagerie aérienne de haute résolution. Parce que si on veut faire par exemple de la cartographie, si on veut collecter de la donnée, il faudrait qu'on ait en fait une imagerie aérienne de haute résolution et à jour. Parce que ça peut permettre en fait de pouvoir faire une cartographie complète. Donc, pour pouvoir le faire, il y a plusieurs possibilités. L'une des possibilités pour une imagerie, on peut avoir un partenariat avec une structure qui dispose d'imagerie aérienne pour pouvoir le faire. Si on n'a pas ce partenariat, on peut également en fait utiliser des drones. Alors, on peut utiliser des drones en fait pour pouvoir en fait avoir une imagerie aérienne de haute résolution. Maintenant, lorsque on a ces drones, par exemple, lorsqu'on a ces images, ce qui est plus important en fait, puisqu'on est également dans un cadre de open data, il faut arriver à pouvoir mettre à disposition cette imagerie qui peut servir également dans d'autres contextes. Donc, pour cela, on peut utiliser, par exemple, une technologie comme OpenStreetMap Map, qui a été développée par HOT, en fait, soutenue par HOT également. Donc, avec OpenStreetMap Map, par exemple, ça, c'est une technologie qui peut permettre d'héberger, en fait, des imageries, et également de les partager plus facilement avec des utilisateurs. Donc, ça, c'est dans le cas de l'imagerie aérienne. Donc, on peut retenir comme outil OpenStreetMap pour pouvoir partager les images. Maintenant, en termes de collecte de données, on a pas mal d'outils. On a beaucoup d'outils en fait, qui peuvent nous permettre en fait, de collecter des données. Tout va dépendre en fait, de la nature des données qu'on souhaite collecter. Voilà. Par exemple, si c'est une enquête avec beaucoup de questions. On peut utiliser des outils connus comme Toolbox, on peut utiliser voilà, d'autres outils également qui sont disponibles pour pouvoir collecter des données. Par exemple, si ce sont des données géographiques, on n'a pas forcément besoin de peut-être doter des équipes de smartphones et de GPS parce que les GPS sont très coûteux. On peut mettre à disposition de ces personnes en fait, des smartphones avec des logiciels qui permettent en fait de transformer le smartphone en GPS. Donc, par exemple, on a des logiciels open source comme, je vais citer OSM Tracker. Voilà, OSM Tracker qui est très bon en fait. On peut utiliser également des outils comme Organic Map. Voilà. On peut utiliser des outils également comme OSM AND pour pouvoir le faire. Donc, ça, c'est dans le cadre de la collecte de données. Donc, on parle de l'imagerie, voilà, puisque la base, c'est l'imagerie. On a l'imagerie, on va venir maintenant au niveau en fait, de la collecte de données. Donc, on a également des suites d'outils open source qui existent. Après ça, il y a ce qu'on va appeler en fait éditer en fait ces données-là. Voilà. Donc, pour pouvoir éditer par exemple ces données, si on prend le cas de OpenStreetMap, on a le logiciel comme JOSM qui peut nous permettre en fait de faire cette édition-là. Maintenant, aujourd'hui, en fait, avec l'intelligence artificielle, on n'a pas forcément besoin d'avoir toute une équipe pour pouvoir en fait faire une cartographie de masse parce que ça peut prendre du temps. Donc, aujourd'hui, avec l'intelligence artificielle, par exemple, il y a des outils d'intelligence artificielle qui sont disponibles pour pouvoir en fait faire une cartographie assez rapidement. Donc, par exemple, en termes de logiciels d'intelligence artificielle pour la cartographie, aujourd'hui, l'un des outils les plus connus, c'est Rapid ID. Voilà, Rapid ID qui est soutenu par Meta, qui permet aujourd'hui de pouvoir utiliser en fait des modèles pour cartographie. Également, on a un autre outil qui est ouvert, qui est développé par autre qu'on appelle FAIR. Voilà, c'est un outil également d'intelligence artificielle. Mais là, l'avantage, c'est qu'il est open source. Quand on dit qu'il est open source, on peut avoir le logiciel chez soi. Également, on a la possibilité, par exemple, si on prend le cas des bidonvilles, là-bas, par exemple, généralement, les bâtiments ont une forme particulière. Par exemple, si on veut faire une cartographie avec l'intelligence artificielle, avec FAIR, par exemple, ce qu'on peut faire, on peut en fait créer des modèles de données, en fait. On crée des modèles selon la représentation en fait, du bâtiment. Lorsque le modèle est créé, on va laisser la main à l'intelligence artificielle de pouvoir faire la cartographie automatiquement. Donc là, on va gagner en temps. On va gagner en temps et on peut également gagner en qualité des données. Donc ça, c'est l'aspect cartographique. Maintenant, en fait, pour l'aspect de l'utilisation des données, on a également une panoplie d'outils qui existe. Alors, tout va dépendre des besoins de ce qu'on va apporter. Mais ici, déjà, ce qu'il faut retenir, en fait, lorsqu'on veut développer des solutions pour répondre à une problématique, surtout une problématique où en fait, la solution, en fait, c'est pour les citoyens. Il ne faudrait pas, en fait, développer ces solutions dans des laboratoires et ensuite aller les mettre à disposition. Il faut impliquer les populations, en fait, qui seront concernées. Il faut mettre les populations, en fait, au cœur au cœur de la conception de la solution. Là, comme ça, on est sûr que lorsque la solution sera développée, la solution sera adaptée au contexte, en fait, de la population, en fait.
Thank you. He has been sharing quite some great things. He started with sharing that imagery is the first technology, so aerial imagery, satellite imagery is the first thing to start with mapping. Slum area, but nothing basically. Lot of very high resolution and recent imagery is important. To get that, you could partner with external organizations, but you could also fly your own drones to make your own imagery. Important is then that you make these available openly. And one of the tools that does that is Open Aerial Map. That is a tool which is there for storing and sharing the aerial imagery. The next step would be the collecting of data on the ground. It depends, of course, a little bit on what data you want to collect, what tools you use. Very important, very interesting is the usage of smartphone because they do have GPS included, so you can just collect data through the smartphone. A couple of apps, OSM tracker, organic maps, we mentioned. Then also the next step is editing data. We mentioned the JOSM tool, which is one of the OpenStreetMap editing tools. There was also some information about the artificial intelligence, because that is these days fully developing and can detect very quickly from imagery. Rapid ID is a tool which you can explore, and then also they are developing with HOT the FAIR tool AI, which is an open source tool which does this in AI extraction. Then the last one was about the usage of the data to respond to problems. So it's important to not develop solutions in a laboratorium environment, to really work together with the populations. And this is really a nice step. The next question I want to ask about what is the role of communities really in this process of mapping. We heard from Zach already, community forums, community feedback. How can mapping happen in collaboration with communities? Mr. Jacob, you want to give us some insights from you? How have you been engaging with communities till now? How do you see this mapping together with communities?
Yes, thank you. I want to start first of all by saying that just like our brother from Kibera said, when you are planning and you don't put the people at the center, then you plan to fail. First of all, you know that these are persons who have settled in that area. Some of them they were delivered there, like in the African tradition. They say that your neighbor is already buried in that place. So somebody can just come today and tell you that, no, that you should just leave. At least there's always that issue of the community education. And in that mapping process, like what we did, we needed to identify, first of all, those who have stayed in that area for long, so that they can give us exactly the history of how to map out the areas and what to do with the maps. First, that is, I'm involving them, because you will be surprised. We now ask them, let them prioritize what their problems, what their needs should be. You will be surprised that instead of waiting that they'll talk about security of land. No, that was not even their first priority. Their first priority was water. You understand? And that's why you now saw that we needed to now start from the priority that they did. And therefore the mapping, we had to start the mapping from mapping the water sources and together with them. And what did we discover? Some of these water sources were already occupied by some of them. And with that community approach, they quickly had to stop what we call it, farming around those areas. And then letting know, because with the education that those sources are for all of them. Some of them now who were claiming that is their personal land and that should not be used. They immediately surrendered it for the areas to be mapped and demarcated as full community water sources. And in that mapping now, it now enabled them to be part of the community approach because they were actually able to even contribute their own resources, to add to that of the council. Yes. And in doing so, and that is, they were able to supply some, even financial resources. I have to tell you the commitment that whenever some of those things were done, they were done with their participation. And that participation now involves what we call sustainability of those particular structures that are being located. And with that, they are able to, with the community approach, do that mapping themselves. We put the map, the whole map on the ground. Now tell us where you want that we should put. Yeah, because in the program we have, we're going to make a community garden. Tell us in the map yourselves where you want that we should put this community plants nursery to produce local, because with all them we have what we call the palm tree. It has 3 advantages. 1, it is water yielding. 2, it can be used even for furniture. 3, it can be used even for roofing and all. So we now say that, okay, you will develop, show us within your community where we can, on the map, on the sketch maps, they now say no around here. Now when they say around here, anybody who owns land around there now is convinced that no, it is for community good, and doing that. Now that is all agreed. And we now put it into the map that this is the area that's going to be used for it. We now ask them, where do you think? That is one of their issues towards maybe some community party. Oh, we need a health center and so. The mapping is done with their concept. Where do you think? Surprisingly, because we were thinking that, you know, that we planner always said that no, we'll have to put it in the center. They looked at it, they said no, but it cannot be where you want to put it. And they give their reasons, and it was reason to with them so that you move the project along with them as is going. So this is exactly the approach, we can call it the local approach of ensuring that the community is highly involved, and with that, even those who we have said that have to leave, they are gladly leaving. Why? Because we've convinced them, and they themselves too have seen that where they are living is risky, and we want to move them to a better environment. So in it, detailed research was done, and with this detailed research, the houses were mapped out, and we're sure that by the time we want to settle them, nobody is complaining, and they're now working as a team. Because some of them are that, but we started this project together. I want to take us to a different level. We're taking you so that the project can succeed, and then tomorrow will always be part of the project. Even if you are going out to a new resettlement area, it does not mean that we're not part of CCR. Your roots remain in CCR. And we always say this because one of the issues in planning is that what was it that actually made them to settle there? Once you don't also factor that into the next place you want to settle the other persons, didn't you? Because I have seen situations you could go and build a very beautiful house for somebody, and the person tell that this is not what I wanted, and therefore the concept. So the concept, those concepts were taken into, and this is where now our technical aspects come in. That those concepts are now taken into consideration, and we can now say that okay, what was it that was their main source of income? Market. What was it that was their main? They needed maybe to do a few things as far as maybe farming and that you factor that into the new era that the other persons are going to be, and you see the plan working. So that is exactly how they do it.
Thanks a lot for your contribution. Yeah, please, Royal, would you want to share some of these ideas how to involve communities in mapping?
Okay, thank you. I just feel like I'm piggybacking from these contributions, but we do have similar experiences. How communities can be involved, and I would echo the sentiments from the project in Kibera and also from the Cameroon example. Communities need to be at the center of the project. We have seen for, at least there are changes in this Namibia context in terms of community participation, but previously we had town planners, urban planners coming and planning for the community. They would design their layout in the office, they would bring it to the community just has to approve, and then it's later on implemented. That was the previous approach. So the new approach is having communities at the center of the planning. Having communities be the one that direct how the planning and the design of the new settlement should look like. The professionals, the technical support guides the community in terms of how to fit in within regulations or the standards that have been set by the local council. So yes, firstly, communities should be at the center. They should be implementers. They should not be seen as beneficiaries. We have a habit of bringing development projects to communities, and we call communities beneficiaries, we call them volunteers, we call them yes, that they are the ones receiving our help. They are the donor recipients. So I think in order for us to have success in informal settlement upgrading projects or slum upgrading projects, firstly, communities should be at the center. And the second one is we should look towards meaningful engagement, meaningful discussions. When you are having your community discussions, involve the older people that have been in the settlements, that know the history of the settlement. Because sometimes we create community discussions that promote exclusion, where, for example, in my country context, for example, we go to a community, we start a discussion, and the discussion is in English. And this gets to isolate some community members who are not very familiar with the language. So we need to have an approach where we have meaningful discussions that are promoting inclusion. And the other thing is, when we are promoting communities inclusion, we should also try to be very clear on the duration of projects. There is this one thing that comes about when we are doing participatory informal settlement upgrading, which we call development fatigue. So every time you come to the community, you're presenting your new project, you are informing them about this exciting idea, you're going to map with drones and whatnot. Communities want to see tangible results. They want to see, when are we going to get the water? When are we going to get the title deeds? Or when are we going to get toilets? So we need to be very cognizant of the duration of projects so that communities do not become tired. One thing that I also want to add that is a bit different from the Cameroonian example for Namibia, he mentioned that the community members were more concerned about improved water access when they were implementing their project. Residents in Namibia were like, you cannot bring us water and toilets if we don't have ownership of the land. Give us ownership. Yeah, so now you want to bring a toilet and electricity on this land and it doesn't belong to me. So the community members were saying, yes, we want title, we want ownership. And for our projects, that's what helped get the communities to resettle. Because when we plan a settlement, what ends up happening is that not everyone can fit into a 300 square meter plot. Some people have to move out of the settlement. And one thing that was the selling point was that you will own this land, your children will be able to inherit, and then you will also be able to make new developments. Because in informal settlements, people are hesitant to invest. They are afraid that if they invest in their structures, then the government is going to come in and destroy it. And so, just to sum up, communities are at the center, they are implementers, they are partners, and they should not be seen as beneficiaries who are helpless.
Thanks. Maybe I have a last question for everybody here. So we are at the mapping conference, and there's a lot of mappers here in the room, in other rooms. How can this OpenStreetMap community, how can the OpenStreetMap community help you? What can we learn from you? What can we share with you? What would help you? What can we contribute as mappers to your work? Maybe Mr. Simon?
Merci. La cartographie nous a beaucoup aidé dans Nkolbikok. C'est grâce à la cartographie que l'implication des populations par elles-mêmes, parce qu'il n'y avait pas de route. Vous avez dit que Nkolbikok, c'est un bidonville. Et dans les bidonvilles, très souvent, il n'y a pas de servitude, il n'y a pas de route. Donc, grâce à la carte, on a montré qu'il fallait, n'est-ce pas, de servitude et les populations ont compris cela. Ils ont, la population par elle-même, a cassé une partie de leur maison. Oui. Parce qu'avec la carte, on a dit, bon voilà, s'il y a incendie et les pompiers ne peuvent pas passer, pour votre intérêt, il faudrait qu'il y ait des passages. Donc, les populations elles-mêmes ont créé des passages, il y en a qui ont réduit les terrains pour casser leur maison, pour qu'il y ait des servitudes. Bon, je n'ai pas apporté la carte, mais vous verrez que la zone de Nkolbikok au sud est limitée par Bamenda. Au nord, par une route goudronnée. Il n'y a pas de passage. Aujourd'hui, il y a 3 servitudes qui passent dans le quartier avec des dallos. Parce que je vous ai dit, il y a une rivière qui s'appelle Edjouambala, qui court sur près d'1 kilomètre 600. Les deux zones du quartier, c'est-à-dire marécageux et terre ferme, ne pouvaient pas, on ne peut pas passer par là. Donc, avec la cartographie, les populations ont compris pour leur intérêt, il faut les passages. Donc, on a fait 3 dallos. Maintenant, on peut partir d'un bout à l'autre. Le problème foncier, on a pu résoudre aussi un peu cela, parce que la population dans la zone politique est constituée de 2 grands groupes, les autochtones et les allogènes. Et les allogènes sont plus nombreux. On a essayé de voir comment les populations peuvent arriver à avoir un type de foncier, c'est-à-dire ne serait-ce que les morcellements. Ça n'a pas été facile. Donc, la cartographie a permis de comprendre que on peut résoudre les problèmes à tel ou tel niveau grâce à la mairie et au MINDU, le ministère. Donc, nous sommes sur ce dossier-là maintenant. Et tout ça, c'est grâce à la cartographie. Bon, à partir de cette carte, de la carte du quartier, on peut savoir où on peut créer par exemple, un foyer pour les jeunes. C'est grâce à la cartographie du quartier qu'on a compris qu'on peut placer le point de collecte des déchets ménagers. Et c'est très important. Et grâce à cela, on a recruté les jeunes dans le quartier qui le font moyennant quelques motivations. Oui. Donc, la cartographie du quartier a beaucoup aidé. Les données, n'est-ce pas, les étudiants des polytechniques sont venus et nous ont beaucoup aidé sur ce plan. Merci.
Thank you. So the first point he spoke about was that there were no roads in the slum, and thanks to MAP, they could bring this to attention of the population, and they basically have themselves understand. So MAP, they couldn't understand. Oh, firefighters are not able to enter, so if there is a fire, okay, so we need to make sure that there are roads, if there is a road built. So there are now 2 roads through Nkolbikok. Yeah, made thanks to the help of the map. Also, the issue of land tenure came up. The mapping of it, the people out of that's not an English word. The native are the other people from abroad. But seeing how they are living in one neighborhood, and thanks all to the collaboration with the town, how thanks to the map they have been able to, they are working this out. Also for youngsters, waste management, so it has been helping on all of levels. Royal, you want to share as well, like how OSF communities, mapping communities can help you in the work of mapping informal?
Okay. Yeah, all right. So I have a lot of ideas in terms of how OpenStreetMap can help, or the OpenStreetMap community can help. But one thing that I would want to say, and I hope it's going to be received in a way that I mean it. Sometimes you say something, but it's not well understood. But the first thing that I would want to share with the community, and I'm meeting quite a lot of you here, and I'm inspired by the stories and the progress and the technology that is available, is to say that we need more Joffreys. We need more people like Joffrey. And I speak this from a sense of saying somebody who is knowledgeable about the technology, somebody who is a connector. For example, you contact Joffrey and say, hey, Joffrey, we're going to fly a drone. We don't know how to make that available to our different stakeholders. Then he'll say, oh, get in touch with the man, for example, who knows how to use the open area. We need people like that so that we can connect each other across the continent. And then also within country, we have people that contact Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team directly to start projects for Namibia. And then they are directed back to us to say, no, there is a team in this country that is working on that project, get in touch with them. So we need people like Geoffrey, more of them, because if Geoffrey is not available, then what happens to connecting us? That's the first one. And the second one is we need more awareness around the technology. I was recently only introduced to Open Aerial, and I was quite excited about it. We managed to do quite a lot of work for one of our projects, where we are going to see over 1,000 households getting title deeds, having road infrastructure improved, and having water and services installed in the settlement in the next 2 years. And this only happened because we managed to get access to the technology. Firstly, to share the imagery. And the second one is we managed to get access to the funding in order to afford to fly a drone. And that happens through being exposed. Firstly, that funding is available. And secondly, being exposed to the technical people that are available on the ground. That's the second one. And then the third one, which I think the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap community does very well, is capacity building. We need more of those. We need capacity building, not just on your online sessions, which are great, but we need to see people, yes, which are great and practical, and if you have the internet connectivity, it's wonderful. But we do have challenges in our country where technology's internet connection is at times difficult. We need to see the experts that are learning from this community in our countries, in our projects, spending time with our teams, training them hands-on, right? So that they understand how to use the technology. So we need to start a new movement of having a sort of OpenStreetMap University, where we are having exchanges, learning exchanges, and having people move from being, I don't know, you can be a beginner mapper on OpenStreetMap, but then you should also have beginner trainers, you know, who are going to be expert trainers from our own local context that are going to move across borders. I can just imagine the strength and the power that is going to be in Southern Africa when we start exporting experts like, I know this other mapper, what's her name? Letwin Pondo, for example. She's doing great work in Zimbabwe. So we need to start establishing links where it will be easy for her to just come to Namibia, spend, I don't know, a week or two, you know, with youth mappers, and then once they are trained, they're capacitated, they'll be able to share that knowledge and information with other youth mappers. So that's one. And then lastly, which is also one of the great things that we're doing here, is platforms like this. Getting everybody together from within the continent, having people that are developing the technology available here in the conference that we can meet and talk to and exchange contacts. And then this is where you start planting seeds, you know, and then you start fertilizing them once you get back home. So if you meet somebody from UN Maps, for example, and they're doing great work in other countries, but they're not having a project, for example, in Namibia, that's a nice way to connect and say, how about we start a project? And that starts from having a simple conversation on the side. And I hope there are ears here and people who can sort of take on this and say, hey, how can we partner? Yeah, that's all I can say. Thank you.
Thanks, Royal. And I first, I want to give you the last word with the paper. Just, we have a couple of minutes left. Yeah, I'd love to after
Hello.
Ok, en fait, ils ont presque tout dit. Hein. Voilà. Déjà, le plus important, en fait, c'est vraiment d'avoir, d'impliquer, en fait, les communautés locales. D'impliquer les communautés locales dans tout ce qui est comme processus. Maintenant, en fait, concernant la cartographie, en fait, déjà, il peut y avoir une sorte de synergie entre les communautés OSM et puis les citoyens, en fait, qui vivent leur réalité. Comme ça, on est sûr que lorsqu'il y a des actions de cartographie qui sont faites, c'est très bien fait. Et on a de la donnée, en fait, de qualité. Donc, du coup, il faut créer, en fait, une synergie entre les communautés OSM et également les citoyens, en fait. Voilà. Et les communautés OSM seront en mesure de pouvoir, en fait, transmettre cette connaissance. Parce que c'est important d'avoir la ressource humaine qui puisse, en fait, prendre la relève. Parce que il peut arriver que la communauté, en fait, certains membres de la communauté ne sont pas disponibles. Mais si on a une ressource humaine capable de pouvoir prendre la relève au niveau des citoyens, c'est quelque chose qui doit aller faire durable.
So to work with the local communities is just essential, and a collaboration between the OpenStreetMap community and the local residents is really key for for a good collaboration, to make things happen. That the OpenStreetMap community is able to transfer their knowledge to the local residents. Mr. Jacob, I wanted to hear from you the last word. How can we help as mapping community?
Yes, the first thing I want to say is that when you look at cartography, it is the base on which you need to start planning. Because once that base is not there, you cannot plan properly. And secondly, I say that when you are sick, and then you go to the laboratory, and they diagnose what is wrong with you, it's already half of the cure. That is what this does. What I want to add to this is that definitely the diagnosis that we do should be transformed into concrete ideas on the in our projects. How do I say this? Now, the streets are considered as public space, first of all. Yes, as public space, it is all of us who should be involved in that open mapping of those streets. And I feel that the younger persons, let me be very frank, have a faster learning memory than we who are getting older. And some of these things, especially like these trainings that you talked about, should involve the youths, because I saw when we were doing this Kobo 2 for our project, I saw what the young persons could perform. I mean, it was wonderful. And their ideas were very, very, they were really ingenious. And therefore, it will be necessary, especially for our experts, to do what we call networking. See how we can train the younger generations in some of these new tools that can make our work faster and, of course, better for all of us.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for the wonderful discussion. They are here the whole day tomorrow. Feel free to come and speak to them. I think there is quite a lot to exchange still between all of us. Very, very interesting. Thanks to all of you.
So confused.
And I think it's now time for a coffee break. Is it just downstairs near the swimming pool?
So confused.
So the coffee break.
Small meeting again after.
Yeah, just a reminder, I have the full day of the humanitarian track. So after the tea break, please come back for more. We are going to be having more discussions to the afternoon. So tea break now, and then we shall begin. Thank you.
Hmm. Lack of olhar, demora bem. Asi podle mě poslouchala. Ale nevím. Hmm. Jo, tak to taky mě zajímá.
Let me have that.